We will get started. We can't vote on anything until we have one more member, but we can go through all the other preliminaries at the beginning, and the voting changes are at the end. So, welcome. If anybody's got cell phones on the table, please remove them from the table because they give feedback through the microphones. And we need to do attendance.
Just go around the room and
Around the
announce
room?
who's here.
Announce yourself, please, and the group you're with.
Yes, I'm John Gentithis. I'm the alternate from Alliance of Del Rey.
Lori Binacor, Alliance of Del Rey.
Sharon Schneiderman, PTA. Mr. Miller?
Finance Committee, Rick Miller.
Bruce Harris, I'm with the Office of General Counsel.
Wanda Paul, Chief Operating Officer.
David Porter from Cork.
Leanne Evans, Treasurer.
David Dolan, Facilities Management.
Radcliffe Brown, Technology Advisory Committee.
Scott Singer, Mayor, Boca Raton, representing League of Cities.
Salvatore Manueli, Cobra.
Ken Lasser, alternate for Cork.
Okay.
We have some guests.
Dave Wilhelm, IT.
Children's Search Transportation.
Stacy Marshall, Maintenance Plant Operations.
John Levinson, I represent Siskovich Architects, Wharton Smith General Contractors, and Ohana Solutions.
And we have Mr. Mara joining us from the Palm Beach Post.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Leanne, I think it's over to you. Oh, any questions on the minutes? Any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, minutes are accepted.
Wait, you can't vote.
Excuse me?
You can't vote.
We can't vote because we don't have a quorum.
Oh, right, that's a voting item. Forgot about that.
Right.
Yep, okay. Thanks, Bruce. All right, we'll come back to minutes then.
Okay, so we have a lot of material today, and I have followed our past practice and done a presentation so we can walk through it. And I'll also up front apologize for my voice. If it starts to break and you can't stand to hear it anymore, I'll switch over. Mr. Dolan can take over. Sales tax update. Receipts through the end of May is $313.9 million versus a projection of $271.7 million. That continues to be about $115 million of projection for this time frame. We've collected 23.3% of the total projected receipts. Going based strictly on months, we should be at about 22%, so we're a little bit ahead of where we should be. The expenditures to date, actually through April 30th, we haven't closed the month of May yet, $110 million. We have open purchase orders of $88 million and interest earnings to date of about $4.2 million. So I want to give a quick update on borrowing. The school board has approved a revolving line of credit that'll be used when needed to expedite the sales tax projects. It's going to close later this month with an available amount of $80 million to draw, and that will be extended over time up to $200 million. The term is for 3 years, and we could extend it. I'm not sure we'd have the same terms, but we try to do that. At this time, I don't anticipate we ever actually need to draw on the line of credit. The line of credit needs to be there in order for us to issue contracts. State law says in order to issue a contract, you have to have the money or the ability to get the money. So this line of credit is there to draw if we need it, but based on my projections, we will never actually draw on it. If the interest fee, just to give you an idea, and this is something that was reviewed in detail by the Finance Committee, so I'm not going to get too in the weeds, but just so you have an idea, the interest, if we draw the funds, is 79% of 1 month LIBOR plus 41 basis points, definitely finance terms there. Today's rate would be about 2.84%. The unused fee, which is for the portion of the line that's not drawn, so right now that's what I expect we'll be paying is 0.1% to have the line of credit. There is cost of issuance associated with the attorney, the financial advisor, the bank's attorney, and other parties. The line of credit is through PNC. It was selected through a competitive bid. So $135,000 and change to get it set up, and then $22,500 if we increase the amount of the line, which I expect we'll be doing annually. So at this point, for the 3 years, we expect the cost to be about $550,000 for the 3 years. It will be coming out of interest earnings, and if you remember, we've already earned over $4 million worth of interest. So this will be paid out of the interest earnings for the sales tax. It would not impact project budget at all. So we'll be using the interest earnings that were set aside to pay the cost of the short-term borrowing.
You said about 22.5 per year to increase the amount. Why would we need to increase the amount if you don't expect to ever use it?
Well, right now, the line of credit is set up for 80 million, and next year, we would need to take it to 120 million, and the year after that, 160 million. Each time we do that, the attorneys and the advisors have to be involved to finalize all the documents to update those.
And we would need to bump those numbers up because of the volume we'd be doing in
Because
those
of the
years?
budget.
Okay.
Because of the budget. We thought about doing it as 200 million up front to save that cost, but we're paying that unused fee based on the amount.
Right.
So we just did the math. It's cheaper to pay the 22,000 once a year to have all the documents updated rather than pay the unused fee on the full amount. So we're just trying to find the most cost-effective way of doing this to make sure that we can continue expediting these projects. So the Finance Committee reviewed and approved the transaction at their meeting on April 26th, and it went to the board in May. So we haven't closed yet, but we will be closing this month. We're still on target for a long-term borrowing for the major construction projects, hopefully in the fall. We're still waiting for some things to be done, environmental surveys, perimeter surveys. There's a lot of documents that need to be done before we can do that. So legislative issues. When we talked before, I think I gave you an update. There was some statutes, some bills that were out that we were concerned about. So Senate Bill 7070 has been approved and signed by the governor. It gave us some good things that is very helpful. It eliminates the need for DOE approval on projects funded with the capital outlay millage, the property taxes, and long-term borrowing. In the past, only voter-approved revenues like the sales tax and impact fees and donations were exempt. So the difficulty we had getting the elementary school in Boca 05C approved, we don't have to go through that process anymore. That's been eliminated. So I got a happy member of the committee. That means there's some projects that we planned that we pushed out in the plan, in the capital plan, waiting to get DOE approval. Some of those will be moved up. So we presented a balanced capital plan to the board in May, and shortly the next day, we had the changes with House Bill 7070. So I'm working closely with the Facilities Department to update and make changes to that, and there will be some changes that we'll be bringing back to the board. And if any of those impact referendum projects, and some of them we'll bring that back to ISSOC at the next meeting.
We still have to comply with cost per student station though, right?
We do, and I thank you because I stopped and didn't go through the other two bullets. The law also revised the calculation of the max cost per student station. So they eliminated the cost of legal fees, administrative costs, and site improvements. So it gives us some flexibility on cost per student station, which is fabulous. It also revised the funding sources, and there's not a good way to write this, but what they did was said that if you are financing a project with COPS, so that's our long-term borrowing, you can take the project and the portion that's within cost per student station can be paid for with COPS. And if you're over cost per student station, then you can take impact fees or sales tax revenues, in our case, to supplement those costs, but only those two. And it's only if you're financing part of the project. It's very odd and it's awkward language. I'm hoping that with the changes to the maximum cost per student station formula, we won't need to do that. But it does give us a relief valve.
And I think there's a regional.
That's right. They're also looking to change. Right now it's based on CPI, and they're going to find a new index to peg cost per student station to. That's supposed to be decided by January. We don't know what that is yet.
Are they looking at something to be regionally based?
Yes.
Oh,
Correct, yeah.
that can't be coming out of Tallahassee. That's smart.
Okay. So the summary, this is where we break down overall the types of projects. So for this meeting, we do have some proposed plan modifications. This is the first time we've seen proposed plan modifications on facility renewal projects, and that's the bulk of the rest of the meeting. It's the first time we've seen those. There are no other changes other than we're moving this in and out of the sales tax reserve. So you'll see the increase to facility renewals and a decrease to sales tax reserves. This breaks down the expenditures and the purchase orders by category. So this is just information for you. This is summarizing the very large legal sheets of the details on the projects. So there are 21 proposed plan modifications. And I've tried to summarize them in this PowerPoint presentation. I attached them all, so you have them all. We can open them up and look at each one individually. I'd like to try going through them at this level first, and if you have any questions, we can flip to the other document. So we can go back and forth, but I think this is an easy way to go through them because it groups them together. So overall, there are 21 of them. The total reduction is $336,000. So what's happening here, these are the projects that are dealing with deferred maintenance. These project budgets were set up based on a facility condition assessment that was done in-house. And as you actually get into a project, just like with a home remodel, when you actually start getting into the walls, you find things. Sometimes projects come in under budget, some come in over budget, and that's what we're seeing here. Some are coming in under and some are coming in over. And the plan all along has been that if a project comes in under budget, the money would go to the sales tax reserves, and if it comes in over budget, we take it from the sales tax reserves. So all the projects we're talking about are dealing with deferred maintenance.
Let me just elaborate for the committee's sake, from the Construction Oversight Committee and the committees I've been on to pick some of the contractors. Originally, Dr. Avosa, when he was superintendent, we were going to have a major international company. It was either going to be Jacobs or AECOM. They were going to get hired for about $2 million to do the facility assessment booklet and to really go out and budget everything. So instead of spending that money, Dr. Avosa wanted to pull it back and let our staff do it. And so staff went out and they picked an elementary school, a high school, and a middle school to figure out in general what items needed to be taken care of. That's where the facility assessment program that we're talking about came from, by staff. And they then put estimates to items like new ceilings, new windows, new roofs, new air conditioning. And that's how we got all of the budgets for these different projects. So, I mean, I send out a big congrats to staff, because when you look at where we're up and where we're down on 21 projects, and it's pretty much not bad. It was all done from what's called a desktop budget, where they did 3 examples and then sat at their desks and put all these numbers together. So when we talk about the budgets for the facility assessment, that's where they're coming from.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I've clustered these together based on the,
Ann, may I interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
If you now have quorum,
We
I think
do.
it would be advisable to so noted on the record.
okay, we do have a quorum now. If you could just mention your name for the record so it reads in.
Grassford Smith on behalf of the Black Chamber of Commerce.
Great, thank you very
Afternoon.
much.
Do you want to vote on the minutes?
Yes, let's go back to minutes. Anyone with issues on the minutes? Seeing none, minutes are accepted.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're back on track and we can keep going.
Keep going.
Yep.
Okay. So these are 4 projects that are, we put nearing completion. What's actually happening is these projects have work going on this summer, but we've avoided the last of the contracts. So we know everything is covered at this point, and the projects have come in under budget. So we're taking the money out of the project budgets and moving it into sales tax reserves. And that money is going to be used with some of the other projects that are next. So those are Bear Lakes, Cypress Trails, Lighthouse, and New Horizons.
And to get from our budget to here, there were selection committees that staff held. Cork was a part of that, to hire architects based on qualifications, and then to hire construction managers based on qualifications. So they were then chosen, the architects, to go out and actually do a set of drawings to show the contractors all the stuff that needed to be done in the school, using the facility assessment that had been done by staff as kind of the starting point. But then it was put on the architects, that's your starting point. It's up to you guys to find out what needs to be fixed. And so then construction drawings were done, bids were assembled by the construction manager, and that's how we're now getting to the final numbers with contracts being issued.
Okay, so then I'm going to move to, if you're okay, I'm going to move to the next bundle. And these are 3 projects that came in over budget. We've had to add money to them. These came in right after ISSOC, the last meeting on March 8th, and went to the board. I didn't have the information to bring to you. We didn't want to wait because these projects, the work is being done this summer. So we took them to the board. Our preference is always to bring them to ISSOC first. But in order to stay on schedule, we went ahead and took them to the board. And in the agenda items, the board, we told the board that ISSOC had not seen it yet, that we'd bring it back to you at the next meeting for ratification. So we have 3 that are like that, Jupiter Farms, K.E. Cunningham, and Wellington Landings. And for each one, we've indicated what the shortfall was due to. And this language is right off the proposed plan modification that was in your backup. But there were, in this case for Jupiter Farms, the Jupiter Farms, unseen flooring moisture mitigation and underestimating the scoping of the work to be done, restrooms and plumbing and lighting. And I looked to my counterpart here from Dave Dolan. If he has any, wants to add to any of these, he can. He's a lot closer to that than I am. K.E. Cunningham had similar issues. Wellington Landings, the shortfall was due to an expanded parking lot scope that had to remedy some on-site street traffic issues.
Right.
Okay, so those are 3 increases. Are there any questions on those? I'm going to take them like one page at a time. Okay, so the next is these 2 projects. This is moving things around. So Sandpiper Shores, we've moved $70,000 up from 2023 to 2019. $70,000 is needed to replace a small section of damaged roof that would impact electrical equipment and other things. So we're not ready to move the whole project up, just a piece of it to take care of that piece of work right now. So we're funding it from sales tax reserve, and in 2023 we're reducing the project and increasing sales tax reserve. So it's a net wash, but we are moving things around, so we want you to know about it. Triple O High School, this is a project that DOE just recently approved. The money is in the budget in 2020. We needed to go ahead and set aside $150,000 so they could get started. This project will be funded with long-term borrowing. I used other funding. It's not sales tax, but it's on the referendum list. So we moved $150,000 up into the current year. The rest of the budget is planned for 2021. I think it's going to be moved up as part of the capital plan into 2020. So you'll be seeing that at your next meeting when we move the entire project up. But at this point, we're hiring people to go out and do soil samples and test condition assessments and things like that of the land.
Will this be funded by COPS?
Yes.
Yeah. And hence the due diligence requirements that we had to get money as quickly as possible to get it.
Right. Okay, and 2 project budgets that came in under budget, Calusa and Loxahatchee Groves. This is the entire project is now scoped out and contracts are being awarded. It's coming in under budget, so we're moving $2 million roughly into the sales tax reserves. And then this is, we have 7 projects that are coming in above the projected budget. So Citrus Cove, Coniston, Okehele, Acreage Pines, Egret Lake, Seminole Trails, and SD Spady each came up over budget by the amounts shown. And these project shortfalls are due to several things. Right now, we are experiencing an overheated market, and I'll let Dave talk about that in just a second. Tariffs are impacting it. Contractors are saying the prices are up because of the tariffs that are coming into play. Asking them to do lots of work strictly on nights and weekends over the summer, it's just a lot of work, and the prices are coming in a little higher. And you might want to talk about some of the projects that we postponed briefly because of the overheated market.
Okay.
So I'm going to let Dave talk about that in just a minute, but that's $4 million of increases. So overall, and there's 2 more. Let me just run through these, and I'm going to let Dave chime in on the rest. This is just I would say accounting entry, but it's not quite. When back in May of last year, we moved money from a category called possible critical needs into South Tech for the work that's being done at Odyssey, so South Tech can move into that site. It should have been moved into Odyssey to reflect the physical location where the work is being done. So we moved it to South Tech, and now we're moving it to Odyssey where it should have been. So this is just a correction. There's no real change. It's just moving it from one school to the other. There is some money being moved from that possible critical needs, which is a line item in facility renewals for schools that we didn't plan on really doing work at those facilities for one reason or another. So in Lake Grove and South Tech, which are these 2 items, neither one of them had line item budgets set up for them. So at South Tech, we've had to do some work on the air conditioner there, a small roof project, and some roof air conditioners and the modular classrooms there. Understand this school is going to be torn down in a year. So we are very careful in what we're doing there. The air conditioning unit will be able to be taken off and used somewhere else at another school. The modular classrooms will be moved somewhere else. So we're trying to be very prudent in how we're spending those dollars, but we do own that building and there are children in there, they have to have functioning air conditioning. So it's not really an option. And we have money set aside for it. So we're doing it as, in the best way possible, knowing that the school will be torn down in a year. And then Inlet Grove, we had to do some work there. A new emergency generator, coating the roof, athletic lighting, and HVAC replacement. Again, that's coming from that possible critical needs money that was set aside for Inlet Grove. Okay, so all those add up to, I'm going to back to the first page, that 336. Lots of pluses and minuses. I expect you're going to see a list like this time next year as well. Whenever we get ready to do a lot of projects over the summer, you're going to see some coming in over budget and under budget. You may see some of them coming in throughout the year, but the bulk of them will always happen in the summertime. Did you want to go ahead and talk about what's happening in the market?
Yeah, sure. If you want to go to that slide right there.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the way things have been heating up over the last several years, but even our disparity from last summer's construction projects to the prices we're getting this summer is a considerable uptick. And we've met with several of the contractors that are doing a lot of the work and bidding the work out. And a lot of those guys are coming back and saying, we can't even get vendors to bid on it. If there's an electrician who can bid on a job, that we're lucky. So we're doing everything we can, but we're also trying to be, cognizant of, not overpaying. And as Leanne mentioned earlier, there are some projects that we've had to delay. And in fact, I'll use roofs as an example. There have been some roof projects that we would have liked to have gotten started already this summer, but the roofers are so busy, and they've basically come to us and said, wait till the fall. We can get you in the fall. And we expect to get more reasonable prices in the fall. So we know we have to spend the money reasonably. Tariffs, there's a volatility in the market that we just have no control over. And the protracted period of performance, one of the challenges has been, and we knew it all along, and it's now just starting to come up in the prices, is that the work has to be done in a lot of cases on those nights and weekends and over breaks, because we cannot, certain disciplines cannot disrupt the daily operation of school, and especially when testing's involved. So we've had to make arrangements. That adds a bit of a challenge to the contractors' efforts. So,
how's that in? I thought most of our work was getting done in the summer. So some of it can't get done in the summer, so it's through the school year?
We get a lot of the work done during the summer.
So our reality now is that school goes on all the time. And so one of our stances on maintenance and this kind of work is that we're not going to interrupt the educational effort. So that's the 9 months that the kids are in school. So we're having to do that work, as Dave said previously, nights, weekends, and long holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, every opportunity, and to get in when kids are not there. And you pay a premium for that. That's just the reality. Our summers are, as we know, are getting shorter and shorter. And I know you've probably heard about the calendar discussion. Yeah. And so we have to use every opportunity to get the work done.
And to Mr. Porter's point, some of the disciplines require an extended period of time with the school closed and no children involved. Fire alarm system, you can't do it room by room. You have to do a whole system. That has to be done in the summer, whereas some of the classroom improvements can be done over nights, weekends, that kind of thing. And so we're trying to manage the balance of those. I know there was a question.
Yeah, can you explain how you're accounting for the tariffs? How is that being accounted for?
We are not actually acknowledging a specific number. What we are hearing from is basically from the industry, from the contractors, from the AGCs, that there is a volatility and a nervousness. Whether that translates to prices, it depends on materials and the disciplines involved. But no, we don't have a documented finite number.
But we do see it in terms of lighting, whereas we did some work the previous summer, that price to this summer has doubled. So we know that some things are happening in the market because we see it at our bottom line.
Yes.
Yeah, from an architect's point of view, I can say that some of it's real, some of it's not. Impact windows and from some vendors have gone up mysteriously, aluminum. Whether the actual cost has gone up or not is questionable. But the sales guys are out there saying, you better get your windows now. These prices are going up next week. And so the district is getting that same impact with people thinking, okay, we got an opportunity here. Let's bump our number.
And one of the things that facilities is doing, they're comparing the prices that are coming in to what we're seeing in the marketplace. And if it's coming in well above market price, we're saying no. Because it's some of it is just the market is so overwhelmed. There's so much work out there that they're charging a very high price to be here. So if we can wait till the fall, like on those roofs, the price will come back down where it needs to be.
We've got some other disciplines. We've done some really interesting things with lighting to bring up the standard for lighting and not go and replace full new in-kind lights. Same thing on some of our roofing products. We've come up with a new system to, rather than completely replace a roof, we're actually doing kind of a whole fill over that will give us another full 20-year warranty on the roof. So at a considerable savings. These are the necessities, and we're working them.
Right. Okay, are there any questions on the proposed plan modification? Mr. Miller?
I had a question on the weekend building on schools, et cetera. Aside from the safety risk that you talked about with the alarm system, are there any health issues or health risks?
Well, if you have kids in the building and you want to do a coating on the roof, that.
Maybe not in the building, I'm talking
Yeah.
out of the building.
Out of the building.
But still things taking place on weekends rather than summer.
I mean, we're always going to be safety conscious regardless of whether, but we're particularly vigilant when we have kids in the building. But yeah, I mean, that's just part of the protocol for doing the work, that we try to keep our workers safe and so forth, if I'm answering your question, the question you're asking.
Dust and other things like
Yes.
that can affect during the school week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if it's happening.
Well, we won't put our kids in buildings that we haven't really checked out, after work, or after the work has been completed.
Yeah, they're doing work on the weekends that are appropriate for the weekends, and the things that take longer that could impact the kids. If you did it on Saturday and have a negative impact on Monday morning, you wait until the Thanksgiving break or Christmas break to do it, or summer. So it's a matter of timing the projects to the best time.
One of the other items, we've had, some of the principals have said, if they're underutilized, they might have a couple extra classrooms that aren't being utilized fully, and they'll shift their programs around to make sure that those classrooms can remain empty. And in some cases, they're in pods that are in a building that we can segment off and allow us to work.
Or we can isolate so that we can do the work and the kids are away from that area.
It definitely takes a lot of teamwork and working with the schools and trying to coordinate. They want the work to get done as quickly as possible, but we all have to take care of the kids first. So it's just prioritizing it and scheduling it and working closely with the schools. Are there any questions on the proposed plan modifications? Because we can pull each one up. I tried to summarize it for your purposes so we can get through them quickly. But if there are any questions, I'm happy to take those now. If not, I would like to have the committee vote. We do have a quorum now, so if we could get a vote to approve the 21.
All in favor of the 21 amendments proposed?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimous.
Okay, very good. And at this point, I am going to turn it over to Mr. Dolan to do the project updates. You can either gadget.
Okay, thank you. This first slide is basically referring to the facility renewals. That's the ongoing, bringing these schools up to the better standards. You may notice some of the schools that were on here from last summer. We will work through this summer on those schools and finish them this summer or early in the fall. There are also a number of new schools that are basically starting up. Remember, I might have, in past meetings, I mentioned most of the schools work over 2 summers. Well, some of these schools are starting up this summer, Carver, Coniston, and Okeechobee and Citrus Cove. These are ones that will take the full 2 years, starting now, and we will work nights and weekends, and as pointed out, only those schools that are starting this year will work through next summer. Okay. Security projects, as you've heard before, we've got security cameras, card access, readers, A-phones, those sorts of things. Fences, doors, we're working on window film, and probably most importantly, single point of entry measures. That's fences and gates and ways to control people from getting onto the campus freely, making sure that that does not happen. You'll see our numbers, the projects that we've got ongoing, and we're stepping that process up even more. We've figured a new method to implement these projects faster through some of the schools.
Right, one of the things we did last year, and we're finishing up this year, we've expedited all the security money that was designated in the sales tax. Half of it came in last year, half is coming in this coming year, starting July. So all the security money is being moved up as quickly as they can get the work done, because that is the priority for the district.
And we do anticipate, we anticipate having this done within the year, so. Okay, the exciting stuff that's going on here. You all may remember we have Verde Elementary School is being modernized, so it is currently about to be demolished. The students are out, and the work is about to go on. The holding school at the park next to Don Estridge, like the mayor, for his assistance on it.
Surplus land adjacent to a park that was never a park.
There we go. So what we have is we have 72 rented portables and some other large portables for food service and media and the like. And we're building a parking lots to serve that. This campus will serve 2 facilities. This campus will be up and operational by the end of the summer, so that then actually middle of the summer, so that the kids from Verde will attend here in the fall. They'll attend for 1 full year, and at the end of next June, they will return to their brand new school, and we will move the students from Addison Meisner in, and we will start the construction at Addison Meisner. So this campus will be there for two years. We're thrilled with the progress, the speed at which we got this work done.
And also, once Addison Meisner is built new, then this will be the new location for Campus 05C, which has no name, or formerly of Addison Meisner and Verde, but this will be the site of the new school, so we're pretty excited about that.
Yes, again, thank you.
Have we started construction then on Verde? Because that's only 1 year to get a whole elementary school done?
Correct.
That's
Yes.
expedited.
It is a valiant schedule. We will make it happen.
Wow.
Yeah, our contract, we're thoroughly excited about the contractor. Moss Construction knows how to make this happen. So we're confident they will get it done and ready for the following school year.
Okay.
And as we speak, these are I guess artist renderings of what the new Verde elementary school, it's actually a K-8 school, will look like off of Verde Trail. And
So the new school that's going by Estridge will be what?
it will be a K through 5
So it will be a new
school.
elementary school?
It will be a new elementary, yep. And it will help relieve Calusa.
So Verde's going to be K-8. What's Meisner going to be, K-8?
Meisner is also a K-8
Okay, so we have 2 K-8s and a new K-5.
and a new K-5. And
I think that's it. We just wanted to give you a couple pictures.
Yes.
I was looking for videos, and there's a lot of videos out there, but they're just showing pictures of the schools in process and look very similar to videos you've seen before. So I thought I'd found something different, show you what these schools are going to look like when they're done.
And next meeting, we'll be able to show you a lot of the work that's gone on this summer.
Right, our
We've
next
got
meeting is-
communications out there right now, videoing a lot of what's going on.
Our next meeting is scheduled for August 30th, and at that one, we will have the capital plan or the portion of it that applies to this committee. So if there's any changes in our capital plan that impact our schools on the referendum list, we'll bring those in and show you any changes. We'll have elections for officers at that meeting because school will have started. But are there any questions before I let the chair adjourn the meeting?
Anyone? Okay. Thank you. We're
Well,
adjourned.
I appreciate everybody coming in. I know we had to reschedule the meeting. I try very hard not to do that. But we appreciate you coming in on a Friday afternoon. Thank you very much.
We're adjourned. Thank you.